Transmission lines, secondary applications, series on transmission line theory, lecture number 2.30. Transmission lines are mainly used to transfer signal from one point to another point. They are also used to fabricate inductors, capacitors, series resonant circuits, and also parallel resonant circuits at high frequencies. They are also used in the design of slotted line sections. The slotted line sections are useful in observing standing wave pattern over the line, in finding standing wave ratio, also in determining the unknown impedance of a device. Transfer of signal is considered as the main application of transmission line, whereas all other usages, they are considered as secondary applications of the lines. In the present session, the focus is on secondary applications of transmission lines. Notice, before entering into the actual investigation of secondary applications, all these applications, secondary applications, they are falling in high frequency zone. Consider a parallel plate capacitor. It works well, giving nearly pure capacitance at lower frequencies. But the same structure behaves like a complex impedance at higher frequencies. Of course, the reason is leads resistance and inductance. Similarly, if we consider a coil inductor, it gives nearly pure inductance at lower frequencies, but at higher frequencies, it starts behaving like a complex impedance, mainly because of leads resistance and capacitance start playing a dominant role at high frequencies. Conclusion is capacitor, inductor, and almost all the components that work well at low frequencies, they become useless when we try to use them at high frequencies. A capacitor at high frequencies, it appears different from the capacitor at low frequencies. Same is the case with inductor. Their design principles are also different. High frequency inductor design principle is different from low frequency inductor design principle. Several new issues, they come into being when a device is operated at high frequencies. The issues associated with high frequencies necessitate a different approach to the design and fabrication of the components, inductor and capacitor at high frequencies. One technique to realize inductor and capacitor elements at high frequencies, this technique uses open or short-circuited lossless transmission line pieces. It can be noticed the input impedance of a lossless line of length L can be found to be pure reactance. This reactance may be inductive reactance or it may be capacitive reactance. It depends upon the length L. Of course, it is reactance when the line is either short or open. Below, here is shown two lines. In A, short-circuited line is shown. In B, open-circuited line is shown. In this diagram, from these two diagrams, one can notice a short-circuited line behaves like an inductor when its length is less than lambda by 4. When its length is in between 1 lambda by 4 and 2 lambda by 4, it behaves like a capacitor. When length is in between 2 lambda by 4 and 3 lambda by 4, it behaves like an inductor. So on and so forth. When length is in between 3 lambda by 4 and 4 lambda by 4, it is capacitive. When length is in between 4 lambda by 4, 5 lambda by 4, it is inductive. Reverse is the case when the line is open circuited. When the length is less than lambda by 4, it is capacitive. When the length is in between 1 lambda by 4 and 2 lambda by 4, it is inductive. When length is in between 2 lambda by 4 and 3 lambda by 4, it is capacitive. Similarly, we can see for every lambda by 4 length increase, the quality of the reactance is changing. From this diagram, one more aspect also we can notice. When length is exactly lambda by 4, the line is acting as a parallel resonant circuit. When it is shorted, it is acting as series LC resonant circuit when it is open. when length is 2 lambda by 4, it is acting as a series resonant LC resonant circuit. In case of shorted line, it is acting as parallel LC resonant circuit in case of open circuited line. So it can be understood short circuited or open circuited lossless lines, they behave like inductors and capacitors. It depends upon the length. Now let us go a little bit deep into the mathematical background pertaining to the graphical sketch that is given in the previous slide. Consider the input impedance of a short circuited lossless line of length L. It is J Z0 tan beta L. Note Z0 is real because the line is lossless. Now, from this equation, one can notice the line section acts as an inductor as long as tan beta L is positive, and the line section acts as a capacitor when tan beta L is negative. It implies line section is an inductor when L is less than lambda by 4, or when L is between 2 lambda by 4 and 3 lambda by 4, or when L is between 4 lambda by 4 and 5 lambda by 4, etc. The line behaves like a capacitor. It acts as a capacitor when length is in between lambda by 4 and 2 lambda by 4, 3 lambda by 4 and 4 lambda by 4, etc. This is the theoretical basis pertaining to short circuited lossless line acting as inductor or capacitor. From this equation, one can also notice if tan beta L is more than 0, the line acts like inductor with an inductance given by L equal to Z0 tan beta L by omega. Hence, shortest length of the line L that can give an inductance L is given by this formula. If tan beta L is less than 0, the line acts like a capacitor. We have already seen with a capacitance equal to C equal to 1 by omega Z0 tan beta L. Hence, shortest length of the line L that can give a capacitance of C is L equal to 1 by beta pi minus tan inverse 1 by omega C Z0. Now we consider open circuited transmission line. The input impedance of open circuited lossless line of length L is given by this formula minus J Z0 cot beta L. From this expression, one can notice the line section acting as a capacitor as long as cot beta L is positive, and as inductor when cot beta L is negative. It means it is a capacitor when L is less than lambda by 4, when L is in between 2 lambda by 4 and 3 lambda by 4, and when L is between 4 lambda by 4 and 5 lambda by 4, etc. When length is such that it is in between lambda by 4 and 2 lambda by 4, or in between 3 lambda by 4 and 5 lambda by 4, it acts as a inductor. From the same equation, if cot beta L is more than 0, the line acts as a capacitor with a capacitance equal to tan beta L by omega Z0. Hence, the shortest length of the line that can give a capacitance of C is 1 by beta tan inverse omega C Z0. If cot beta L is less than 0, the line acts as inductor with an inductance L equal to minus Z0 omega tan beta L. Hence, shortest length of the line that can give an inductance of L is given by this formula, L equal to 1 by beta pi minus tan inverse Z0 by omega L. It has been told shorted lines, also open circuited lines, they can be used to fabricate resonant circuits. Here we consider short circuited line. Consider the input impedance of a short circuited lossless line of length L. This equation we have already seen. The impedance is pure reactance and tends to infinity. J is there, that's why it is pure reactance, and it tends to infinity whenever tan beta L tends to infinity. Tan beta L tends to infinity when beta L is pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, 5 by 2, etc. implying length when length is L equal to lambda by 4, 3 lambda by 4, 5 lambda by 4, etc. Hence, a lossless shorted line length equal to 2n plus 1 lambda by 4, where n equal to 0, 1, 2, etc. is equivalent to a parallel LC resonant circuit. The impedance becomes 0. This fellow becomes 0 whenever tan beta L is 0, that is beta L is 2 pi by 2, 4 pi by 2, 6 pi by 2, etc. implying its length L equal to lambda by 2, 2 lambda by 2, 3 lambda by 2, etc. Hence, a lossless shorted transmission line length L equal to n lambda by 2, where n equal to 1, 2, etc. is equivalent to a series LC resonant circuit. Now we consider OC resonant circuit. Input impedance of an open circuited lossless line is given by this formula, minus j z naught cot beta L. In this case, notice the impedance is pure reactance and it tends to infinity whenever cot beta L tends to infinity. That is when beta L is 2 pi by 2, 4 pi by 2, 6 pi by 2, etc., implying length equal to lambda by 2, 2 lambda by 2, 3 lambda by 2, etc. Hence, a lossless opened out line, length L equal to n lambda by 2, where n equal to 1, 2, etc., is equivalent to parallel LC resonant circuit. The impedance becomes 0 whenever cot beta L is 0, that is beta L is pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2, etc., implying length L equal to lambda by 4, 3 lambda by 4, 5 lambda by 4, etc. Hence, conclusion is a lossless shorted transmission line length L equal to 2n plus 1 lambda by 4, where n equal to 0, 1, 2, etc. is equivalent to series resonant circuit. Now we consider, so far what we did is we investigated the theoretical background regarding the use of transmission lines in fabricating inductors, in fabricating capacitors, in fabricating resonant circuits, series resonant circuits and parallel resonant circuits. Now we enter into another application, another secondary application of transmission lines, that is impedance measurement. Impedance measurement, as it is an involved, somewhat complicated and difficult process even at low frequencies. It is much more complicated at high frequencies. The reason for the complication or for the difficulty is measurement of phase angle. Impedance is a complex quantity having magnitude and phase. Magnitude can be measured without much difficulty, but measurement of phase is somewhat complicated. It becomes much more complicated at high frequencies. So, some indirect method is developed to measure impedance. That indirect approach uses slotted line sections, which are explained now. Impedance is complex and its determination at high frequency is quite tedious because of the difficulty in measuring its phase. At high frequencies, impedance is found through indirect means from RC over the load. Reflection quotient over the load is indicated by gamma L. It is related to load impedance ZL through this relation. ZL is Z naught, characteristic impedance of the line, 1 plus gamma L by 1 minus gamma L. In slotted line section method of measuring impedance, this particular formula is used. This is the basic formula behind that particular method. Gamma L is computed first and it is substituted to find ZL. Gamma L is a complex quantity. It has magnitude and phase. Magnitude of gamma L is computed from the SWR. First, SWR is determined by making measurements over the slotted section. From SWR rho, gamma magnitude is determined. Phase angle of gamma L, it is determined either using first minimum distance method or from minimum shift method. But either one of these two, they use slotted line section, which is a piece of transmission line. First minimum method, the impedance of a device can be found from the distance of first minimum from the load. By measuring D minimum and wavelength to find beta, angle of quotient over the load theta L is found using this relation. Minimum shift method, another method is there. It is difficult to locate the first minimum without confusion. Hence, another method known as minimum shift method is developed. In this method, angle of quotient over the load theta L is found from shift of any one minimum, D shift, when load is replaced by a short. When D shift is known, D minimum is known, theta L can be found without much difficulty. Of course, first lambda can be found using the slotted section. From lambda, beta can be computed using the relation beta is 2 pi by lambda. Once magnitude and phase angle both are known, ZL can be determined within no time. An arrangement to locate minima positions and their shifts is available in the form of slotted line. It is a line, transmission line with a slot, a scale and a probe movable along the slot. The line is connected to source on one end and load on the other end. When the load is mismatched, a standing wave pattern comes into being. The probe senses the field strength in the pattern and gives out voltage, and that can be measured with a voltmeter. Here is a shown slotted section. See, two versions of slotted sections are available. One is coaxial version, another is waveguide version. In the diagram, coaxial version is shown. So the one is source end, another is load end. Here source is connected, here load is connected. Actually certain slot is made for the surface, cutting the outer conductor of the coaxial line, and in this slot a movable probe is inserted. A probe is inserted. This probe moves through the or along the slot. While moving, the probe senses the field strength. Wave is there here. It senses the field strength. It gives out certain voltage. This voltage is connected to a voltmeter. By noticing the movement of the pointer in the voltmeter, one can find out the variation of the field strength in the slotted section. Slotted line arrangement, coaxial version, probe voltmeter. The scale here carries. A scale is also available. Lower numbers on load side. In some versions, lower numbers are on source side. Higher numbers are on load side. This is what I want to share with you regarding secondary applications of transmission lines. Before concluding, let us recap. Transmission lines, in fact, pieces of transmission lines are used to fabricate inductors, to fabricate capacitors, to fabricate series resonant circuits, to fabricate parallel resonant circuits, also to fabricate slotted line sections. We can also notice these secondary applications, they fall in the high frequency range.